I can't tell you what that girl name was. But I tell you one thing I could do. I could pick a face out of a lineup, though. Hey, bestie. How you doing? So, her hair look good. Oh, go on, get it, girl. On today's episode of Getting to Know Me, because, we just starting out. This is a new bestie connection. On today's episode of Getting to Know Me, we're going to talk about my whole Navy situation. Not whole, but just in part. How did I get in the Navy? Picture it, Sicily. 1999. Things happened when I was younger, around 16. My mother, God rest her soul, she was going through a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say that I was a perfect child. At that point in my life, I thought I was a perfect child. Totally. I was not. I wasn't bad, but I wasn't the best either. I ended up in foster care for my last 2 years. Foster care is a whole other situation. Woo! Because of the turmoil that I had in going foster home, a lot of things happening there, I ended up in the military, okay? I was emancipated from foster care when I graduated at 17, and thank God for my sister. She came in, swooped in, made sure I had somewhere to go, and I stayed with her. I worked at Hardee's. Some of y'all know it as Carl's Jr. for a few months until I left. And went to boot camp. I went to boot camp on October the 25th of 1999. And when I left, I thought I was doing something. Like I was excited. I depped in or whatever. And that's the delayed entry program. For those of you that don't know, you sign now and go later. It took about 3 months for me to go, but I went, and that was my first time being on a plane. That was my first time leaving anywhere, going by myself. I had been out of the state of Virginia a couple times, but not to that extent, right? Nothing farther than a day's road trip. I get to Chicago O'Hare. They let us go into the USO. And the USO is like where all the military people hang out in the airport or whatever. It was real nice. So we go in there, and they're giving us chips and soda and stuff, and we're sitting there, and everything is cool. And then this guy comes in and was like, I'm so-and-so and this and anything. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but the next thing I know is a bunch of yelling, screaming, hollering, and cussing. And he was like, take your MFN earrings off, sailor. And I was like, who are you talking to? He was talking to me. So yeah, he made, I had to take my earrings off. Thank God I had already cut my hair, because my recruiter had told me about how they cut your hair back then. Like they pull it back in a ponytail and wipe the ponytail off, and then it was the worst haircut in history, worse than the guys. They made us tuck our shirts in. It was a hot, stinking, funky. It was people crying. A couple of people tried to run off, and I'm just standing there. And I took my earrings off, and he was like, give me your earrings. So I gave him my earrings, and I was like, are you gonna give those back? And he was like, oh, I didn't tell you to talk to me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why he keep yelling at me? Like, what's wrong? And, being that I'm not going to say I'm aggressive. Things happen. We left. We got on this bus, a charter bus. They put us on a charter bus, and it's dark. It's pitch black. So it's like 10 something at night, right? And we're riding through, I don't know where we're going, other than boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. On the screens, they're showing you all this stuff. Like, this is what you're going to be doing when you get there. So, like, they tell you about how you got to go in there, you got to get undressed. But back then, you had to have 96 girls to form what's called a division. So, and they would take that 96 girls and break us in half, 48 and 48, and you would go into a co-ed division. So those two divisions would be sister divisions. And all sister divisions means is that all your girls live together. So it's 48 girls. And, below us, of course, there's the other side of our divisions. It's the boys or whatever. Boot camp in 1999 is not what boot camp is right now. Okay, boot camp in 1999, I stayed in what they call P days. Those are the processing days. And the P's, the processing building, for I think 7 or 8 days. It took us to get enough girls there. And in those 7 or 8 days, I did not bathe. I did not brush my teeth. We slept in the hallway in what they call Smurfs, which was a jogging set. We ate bag lunches 3 times a day. By the end of that week, it was funky. People was musty. It was all kinds of stank. And it was just a bunch of girls. And, you know, they gave us a lot of shots. We got a lot of shots. So, like, and everybody talks about the peanut butter shot where you get in your butt. And it's that cold penicillin shot because they just want to thing that you come in there with. It was crazy. You go in and then they give you, we used to have BCGs, birth control glasses, big ugly glasses because you couldn't wear contact lenses. You know, it's a lot of physical examinations. You have to do the duck walk where they make you get and squat down, and you have to squat walk across the floor to make sure that you're a genetic female. I don't know if they still do that now. I don't. Yeah, so it was it was exciting and scary at the same time. I stayed there. Boot camp was 9 weeks at that time. There were no cell phones, you know, none of that. We wrote home once a week. If you had money for a calling card, then you got to call your family. There were no incoming phone calls, none of that stuff like that. They really did. They broke you off. They reprogrammed you to some degree. I went in, I was 18 years old. My retirement ceremony was on my 38th birthday, and 20 years and 6 days of continuous, unbroken, honorable service. I retired at 38 years old. There's so much that happened in between there. Like, you know, I could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. I mean, just the amount of change that's been affected, in my opinion, in the military then versus now. There are some things that needed to change, and there are other things that did not need to change that, you know, definitely weakened the posture of the military as a whole. And it's my opinion. Just my opinion. I said what I said. But I went through some things in boot camp. I met a girl, the girl that lived on a bunk underneath me, when she shaved her legs, because you can only shave your legs after you've been there for 6 weeks, or your armpits or anything else, okay? It was so much stuff you couldn't do for the first 6 weeks. Craziness, aside from the fact. But the girl that was below me shaved her legs, and she was like, I'm gonna warn you now, there's gonna be a lot of blood in here. And I was like, well, if you don't know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't do it. And she was like, oh no. She was like, I just have sensitive skin. This heifer didn't tell me it was gonna be a crime scene, okay? So she goes, she shaves her legs, and she comes out of the bathroom in tube socks. And then she lays down in the bed, and the next morning, tube socks, bed, clothes, everything soaked in blood. She was legitimately bleeding from her pores for the next 2 days. Girl, it was too much. It was frightening. That was a lot. There was a girl, we had a girl. Now, I was 18. There was a girl that was in my division, woman, that was 32 years old, that came to boot camp. And within the first 2 days of us being in what they call a ship, but it was like the little barracks room. We had open bay barracks. It's 96 beds set up in, you know, 2-tier bunk beds running down the little hall or whatever. She was 32 years old. And somebody didn't put toilet paper on the toilet paper holder. And she had already went off because there was no doors on the whatchamacallit. You couldn't close the door when you went to the bathroom. Like in the stall, there were no stall doors. You don't get stall doors until like week 7 or 8 or something like that. And then even then it's not doors, it's shower curtains, right? There was one that had a curtain on it at all times, and that was for whoever was on their cycle. That one was always nasty. Whole other situation. But yeah, somebody didn't put toilet paper on the paper towel holder. And she came out of there, and I'm talking about everybody was a B, a H word, garden tool type. Like y'all nasty, I'm sick of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, we only been in here 2 days. How you sick of it already? But she went off. So one of the RDC's recruit division commander came out, and it was a dude, DC1 Unger. I remember him. He was so fine too. He was a white dude. Maybe it was the authority situation. Whole other side note, okay? Don't get it twisted, because my husband, that's my man. DC1 come out there, and he was trying to tell her to calm down, blah, 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 blah. And she ran up on that man, and they got the chest bumping. Listen. All I know is they took her first. It took like 4 guys. They had to call for backup. like some other grown men to come from a couple of the boy birthings next door. They came in because she was a big girl. She was like 6'1". She was a big girl. Came in there, scooped her up. They dragged her out, kicking and screaming. We didn't see her no more. They had some people come in from, which we later learned was from medical, to come and clear her stuff out. We didn't see her no more. I can't tell you what that girl name was. But I tell you one thing I could do. I could pick her face out of a lineup, though. Because she had me messed up. I was scared. I'm laying there like, is she going to come back in here while I was asleep? It was a lot. It was a lot, I'm telling you. Anywho, listen. I've been talking for a long time. I'm probably going to edit some things out of this video. We shall see. I don't know. You'll be able to tell. Anywho, I had a great time chit-chatting with y'all. I think they're done with my Chinese food because that's what came to give me some comfort food. I think they're done with my food. So I'm going to go get my food and I'm going to get on to the crib. What's two things I would say? In all things, give thanks, pray without ceasing. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Peace out.